Legacy of Destruction released to the TCG on April 26, 2024, and while many, myself included, gladly welcome the introduction of our new Tenpai overlords to this Year of Fire, the set contains an absolute feast of off-meta and low-to-the-ground cards that are cool, despite not being good enough to make it into deck boxes. Ragnarika and Ashened are thematically and artistically interesting enough to trick some poor soul into coping, and the new Lightsworn stuff makes me wish that we hadn't purged all the millers out of the format. But today, we're going to be discussing the absolute bottom of the barrel in the new set. New cards that might make for quirky techs or staples in limited play, proving once again that real Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes place on the kitchen table. Pyite Knight is a level 5 Earth Warrior with 2000 attack and 0 defense, and some of the best art that I've seen on a card in a long time. This card allows you to, while it's in your hand or grave, target an Earth or Fire Warrior monster you control, and return it to the hand in order to special summon itself. Then you have to give your opponent a token. Additionally, during the battle phase, this card allows you to special summon a warrior monster from your hand, and each of these effects are usable once per turn. While the restriction to Earth and Fires may disappoint some of you hoping to abuse the host of Dark Warrior support out there, that attribute and type restriction actually opens up a host of options in need of support, including Amazonis, War Rock, and Rescue Ace. Bouncing cards that have effects when summoned to the hand allows you to get some value off of them later, while still keeping a body on field. Giving your opponent a token is annoying, but considering the number of cards that require an open board to be used, and the amount of removal options at your disposal, it shouldn't prove a problem if you don't want it to be. Lastly, summoning a monster during the battle phase makes this card an honorary War Rock in all but name, and the fact that the card ignores the level of the warrior it can summon means that you can cheat out some pretty heavy hitters. Look out for this boy in draft. Haggard Lizardos is the 5th reptile link monster ever released in the game's history, and no, I'm not joking. Before this set dropped, there were only 3, and every one of them belonged to an archetype. Insanity. Will our Haggard friend be enough for this type starving for generics? Well, this Link 2 reptile with 800 attack and right and downward pointing arrows requires 2 monsters with different names as material. Off to a good start. That's about as generic as you can ask for. Once per turn, this card allows you to banish 1 monster from your face-up field or graveyard with 2000 or less attack. Then target 1 face-up monster on the field. You then make that monster's attack become the original attack of the monster banished to activate this effect until the end of the turn. Then, if you banished a monster that was originally a reptile, you can draw a card. Wow? Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but this card is insane. A generic Link 2 that banishes anything from field or grave as cost and can target itself? This card is like a branded Orcust Gren Maju support all at once. Okay, maybe I'm getting a bit over my head there, but I think that this card could have some real utility. Great arrows, a flexible attack modulator that banishes for cost without having another card on either player's field, and even a potential +1 if you're playing a deck that bins reptiles or you just want to send itself. Get ready to put Snake Rain on buyout watch. Again. Blink Out is a quick play spell that allows you to target 1 Link monster on the field, return it to the extra deck, and then you can special summon 1 monster from your grave that was used as its Link material. What a host of utility on a quick play spell that just goes to illustrate how much maintaining card advantage is mandatory in the game nowadays, that this card is not being seriously discussed. Blink Out walks a tightrope of offense, defense, and extension while not being too overpoweredly deep on any side. The effect to summon from your graveyard being optional means that you can use this on your opponent's Link monster to interrupt their plays, or board break something like a Nightmare Griffin. Its quick effect speed allows you to dodge targeting interruption on your Link monsters via something like Infinite Impermanence, while recurring some of the value lost. While obviously not as effective at the former as something like Lightning Storm, the flexibility Blink Out offers helps close that gap. This card highlights what a shame it is that middle-of-the-road, highly flexible effects have been faded out in favor of focused, extremely powerful silver bullets. Unfortunately, this card cannot be used to out Underworld Goddess either, as it can special summon from grave, and therefore can be negated by her effect. But it's still nothing to blink twice at. Tantrum Toddler is the latest in a string of silly Xyz monsters that we've been receiving lately, alongside cards like Musical Sumo Dice Games and Quartet Wonky. I'm not sure why they picked this mechanic to have all the wacky effects. Maybe the mechanic of stacking monsters on top of each other like a Jenga pile is just inherently silly. Regardless, Apollos' son over here is a rank 1 with 0 attack and defense that requires 2 level 1 monsters as material. And, once per chain, when a card effect or activation is negated, allows you to attach one card from each your opponent's and your grave to it as material. Then the card gains a number of effects based on the amount of material attached. At 1 or more, the card gains 700 attack and defense for each material attached. At 4 or more, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And at 8 or more, you can, as a quick effect, detach 4 materials and board wipe everything. You might call it the most convoluted board wipe in the game. I call it the most adorable. I'm not kidding when I say that the card is Apo's kid either. Paired alongside her multiple negates now that Daddy Borreload is out getting banned, you can get a bunch of material on board before clearing the field. And just look at the art. You can tell that Apo is getting tired of her kid's shit, and who can blame her? Zoma the Earthbound Spirit is here to ruin, or save, depending on your level of degeneracy, LOD sealed format forever. This continuous trap can be special summoned as a level 4 dark zombie effect monster with 1800 attack and 500 defense. And while this card is on the field, all monsters your opponent controls that can attack must attack this card. And if this card is destroyed by an opponent's monster's attack, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to double that monster's attack, with a maximum of 3,000 being inflicted. And each of these effects is usable once per turn. Is this card as format ruining as digit jamming? No. Is it going to be the game ender in a lot of games of LOD draft? You bet your bippy it will. In limited formats with scant back row removal or generic destruction in the extra deck, staring down one of these during the battle phase is almost worse than eating a magic cylinder. Effects that force you to perform an action are so much worse than effects your opponent just activates against you, and it's only fitting that the most annoying character in the DM series gets to unleash such a headache of a monster in Sealed. Well, if you thought you were going to get out of this video without having to hear about a dinosaur, think again. I guess I'm okay with being typecast after all. Dinocis is a level 6 Earth Dinosaur effect monster with 1500 attack and 2200 defense, and can be special summoned from your hand if you control 2 or more dinosaur monsters. This card can only be special summoned once per turn. Once per turn, this card allows you to tribute one level 4 or lower monster from your field in order to special summon from deck a dinosaur monster that is 2 levels higher or lower than the tributed monster. But you have to destroy it during the end phase, as though that would ever come up. This card is insane, and it really blows my mind that dinosaurs can just keep receiving absolutely custom support every set, and yet they can't top an event for the life of them. Getting 2 dinosaurs on board is effortless nowadays, and with this card being level 6 and allowing you to pick basically anything you want from deck, access to rank 6s like Lars, level 8 or 10 synchros of your choice, or simply fetching anything from deck that you want in grave, this card is ridiculous. That being said, it would not surprise me in the least if next set they announced a dinosaur alt win condition, and yet somehow it still wouldn't be enough. Please guys, play it, tinker with it, this card is awesome. You think they're running out of fumes for DM-era retrains, don't you? Not many Celtic guards of noble arms or fighting flame swordsmen left in the tank, eh? Well, allow me to introduce you to the top 10 light attribute fusion monsters that have dragon in their name but aren't dragons of DM retrains. The proof that they will never, ever run out of this stuff. I present to you Mechazoka Noyaba, the Moonfang Dragon, or as I'm going to call him from now on, Milktoast Dragon, because I spent 45 minutes in a mirror with how to pronounce on repeat for that first take, and I ain't doing it again. Milktoast here is a retrain of the original Milktoast from all the way back in Tournament Pack 2, more than 20 years ago. Incredible. This level 7 Dark Dragon effect monster keeps much of what was given to him by his original incarnation. The sick curved sword, the impressive helmet and Konami orbs on the shoulders, and the wacky stat line of 2200 attack and 2350 defense. Finally, something to stop the relentless onslaught of Serpent Knight Dragon. A shame it's a few years and an entirely different format too late. During the end phase, if this card is in your hand or grave, you can special summon it, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. You can discard one card to add a level 7 Dark Dragon to your hand, and amazingly, this can include itself, but each of these effects are hard once per turns. You guys might not want to hear this, but this is the Dark Dragon ruler that we've all been waiting for. The condition to return to the deck when it leaves the field doesn't trigger if it's sent as an Xyz material, so Wolfernergis, eat your heart out. And I guess you can use it for that new Blaze Supreme Ruler of Dragons that's coming out sometime before the heat death of the universe. Surprisingly, there are actually a decent number of cool search targets for this card, including Phantasme, Destrudo, and Dad. Easily my favorite card in the set, even if it just begs for a way to summon itself during the main phase. I hope that you all enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe for future Yu-Gi-Oh content, and remember to wash behind your ears.